key defining role in deciding which party will control the U.S. Congress in what is now developing into the single most important midterm election in our lifetime. We're going to bring you updates as we get them. Also, Newt Gingrich will weigh in as those results come in tonight. And just breaking, the fired Deputy FBI Director Andrew McCabe reportedly is asking the U.S. Senate in exchange for testimony on Comey's handling of the Clinton probe. Well, he wants immunity. Get ready for a deep state circular firing squad. We'll have all the details tonight. And also, we are awaiting the release, finally, of the Inspector General, Michael Horowitz's report detailing how the FBI mishandled its criminal investigation into Hillary Clinton's private server. We have now waited 18 long months. It's been completed for 2 weeks now, and it's being held up at the desk of people like Rod Rosenstein and Jeff Sessions and the Department of Justice, which we all know has been obstructing. And now many, including me, are worried that the DOJ is in the process of heavily redacting and burying the release of this extremely important report that you, the American people, have a right to see. As we speak, some lawmakers now are rightly sounding the alarm, warning the Inspector General is facing pressure to slow roll his findings. Sarah Carter has an exclusive story and report tonight. And also a new poll showing that Americans are absolutely disgusted with the so-called news media in this country. Shocking. In moments, we're going to show you the latest example of how the mainstream media, the Destroy Trump media, is spreading so much fake news, this time over a sick and twisted obsession and attacks on the First Lady of our country, Melania Trump. And we have more good news on the miraculous Trump economy. Are you tired of winning yet? Because the Obama economic nightmare is officially over. Sit tight, buckle up. It's tonight's very important breaking news opening monologue. All right, it's been more than 2 weeks. The Department of Justice Inspector General Michael Horowitz completed his report detailing how James Comey, other top FBI officials, handled the criminal case against then presidential candidate Hillary Clinton. Now, of course, this came after 18 long months of diligent work, 500 people from the Inspector General's team. But now, these extremely important findings are still being delayed and stalled. Where? In the Department of Justice, the same people that have been obstructing Congress, by the very same people responsible for redacting, withholding, and ignoring subpoenaed documents from members of Congress who are trying to do their constitutional duty of oversight as required by the Constitution. Every American tonight needs to be demanding that this report is released in full right now. But don't bury it this Thursday or Friday leading into the Trump summit. Now, earlier, the president tweeted this, quote, "What has taken so long with the Inspector General's report on crooked Hillary and slippery James Comey? Numerous delays. I hope the report is not being changed and made weaker. There are so many horrible things to tell. The public has a right to know. Transparency." Now, journalist Sarah Carter is shining huge light on this story tonight on why the IG report is yet to be released. And she is revealing that the IG is being pressured to delay their findings, slow walk their findings, and also, get this, they probably want to release it on the weekend heading into a big summit with President Trump and Kim Jong-un. She writes that, quote, "The Department of Justice, the FBI are deliberately attempting to slow roll and redact significant portions of the Inspector General's report. And that's not all. Some are now concerned the DOJ is planning to bury this report on a summer Friday, like this Friday, leading into next week's summit." Now, perhaps ahead of that meeting with Kim Jong-un in Singapore next Tuesday. You, the public, have a right to see this information. This has taken 18 months. They cannot bury this. They cannot alter this. They cannot redact this. And it apparently seems to be slow walked, and they're trying everything they can do to take out the important findings here. Our questions deserve to be answered. Where's the report on the now infamous tarmac meeting between Bill Clinton and Loretta Lynch? They're talking about their grandkids, really? Where's the report on James Comey issuing what? Writing exoneration after exoneration on Hillary Clinton in May before he even interviewed Hillary and 17 other key witnesses? Where's the report on why the FBI looked the other way as Hillary Clinton literally destroyed evidence as she deleted 33,000 subpoenaed emails, acid washed her hard drive with bleach bit, and had an aide break up her devices with a hammer? Now, tonight we did reach out to the DOJ. Shockingly, they declined to comment. And while we await the IG's report detailing how the fix was in fact in for Hillary Clinton, how Hillary Clinton did commit felonies, we do have new information surrounding former Navy sailor Christian Saucier. Remember him? He wasn't given any special insider Clinton treatment. Hillary Clinton willfully mishandled top secret special access information on a private email, then lied about it all. She didn't have any charges brought against her. Poor Christian Saucier. He took 6 pictures inside of a submarine that he was proud to work on, never put him out in the public. He was put in federal prison for a year before being pardoned by President Trump. Now Christian Saucier rightly is suing President Obama, James Comey, claiming that he was subject to unequal protection under the law. Good for him. Unequal protection under the law, our 2-tier justice system, pretty much sounds about right, sadly. Now, speaking of which, the former deputy director of the FBI, Andrew McCabe, he was fired, as we know, for lying, still has not been charged with any crime. There is a criminal referral. Now, McCabe is now reportedly asking the U.S. Senate for immunity in exchange for his testimony in their ongoing investigation into the FBI's mishandling of the Clinton investigation. I said it in January. It's the year of the boomerang, and this is now becoming a circular firing squad among some of the top levels of the deep state. We're going to have more on this tonight in just a moment. Now, first, we have some not so shocking news about so-called journalism in America. Look at this new poll from the Pew Research Center. 70% of the American people now have news fatigue. Well, maybe, just maybe, good guess on my part, maybe the American people are tired of the media's obsessive, compulsive, nonstop hysteria and breathless reporting surrounding the mainstream media's news coverage, their false panic over North Korea and nuclear war, their false panic over the Trump tax cuts, their false panic over so-called collusion with no evidence, and now false panic over a so-called constitutional crisis. Watch what our friends at the Media Research Center and us put together tonight.
President Trump declares he has the power to pardon himself, unleashing new fears about his response to the Russia investigation and the possibility of a constitutional crisis.
We're heading into a constitutional crisis.
So are we at a crisis point here? Maybe we're at a constitutional crisis. I don't know.
We hear the phrase constitutional crisis repeated over and over again.
On the verge of a constitutional crisis.
It's a view of the presidency imbued with absolute power that raises the specter of a constitutional question or crisis even.
This is exactly the kind of constitutional crisis experts have been warning about.
When does it cross over into being a constitutional crisis?
I told you they're lazy, they're overpaid, they don't do their work, and they just echo each other, and they try to outrage each other. Maybe the American people, clearly they're tired of the media's combative, blatant, abusively biased anti-Trump stance that they take every day. Like this example from today's press briefing featuring the Trump-hating pretend journalist, in this case, April Ryan. Oh, Jim Acosta got a break in terms of our show. Watch Press Secretary Sarah Sanders respond. Take a look.
Is the president aware that this is about police-involved shootings and not about disrespecting the flag? Is the president aware of that, Sarah, please? I understand you're going to Stephen, but I'm asking, is the president aware that taking the knee is about police-involved shootings?
The president has made his position crystal clear, and that it's about, I let you rudely interrupt me and your colleague. I'm going to ask that you allow me to finish my answer. I would be happy to answer it if you would stop talking long enough to let me do that. The president has made his position crystal clear on this topic. He feels strongly that standing for our national anthem is something that we should do. This has been made a political argument of which the president is not going to back down from, and he's been clear on it. Stephen, last question. April, I've addressed your question. I'm not going to continue to engage with you. Stephen.
The NFL is now telling people they have to stand. Will the president deal with the issue of police-involved shootings?
I'm going to deal with the issue of addressing your colleague's question.
And worst of all, maybe you, the American people, maybe you're just tired of the media's downright nasty personal attacks, including their recent coverage of the First Lady, our First Lady, Melania Trump. Now, of course, following a medical procedure for a kidney condition 3 weeks ago, well, the First Lady, well, she was only seen once in the public spotlight. By the way, leaving some in the press running absolutely wild with insane speculation, pushing some of the nastiest, vicious conspiracy theories you'll ever see. Look at this writer for Rolling Stones tweeting, well, I wish that I didn't suspect that the prolonged, poorly explained public absence of Melania Trump could be about concealing abuse I wish that it was a ludicrous prospect. I wish the president wasn't a man of a history of abusing women, including those to whom he is married. That's outrageous, disgusting, and so predictable from your media. And that's not all. Look at good old David Frum, a never Trumper, tweeting, quote, suppose President Trump punched the first lady in the White House. Federal property equals federal jurisdiction. Then ordered the Secret Service to conceal the assault. The president has Article 2 authority over the Secret Service. Is that obstruction? Under Seculo? Dowd? Apparently no. Of course, this disgusting speculation continued even on television. This is how insane your media has become. This is a mass psychosis that kicked in about 10 p.m. November 8th, 2016, when the person they thought would never win won by a big margin. Take a look.
A lot of people are wondering where the First Lady is these days. She dropped out of sight several weeks ago. They're saying we haven't seen her since the 10th. And everyone has their questions about where is she?
The last time we caught a glimpse of her was on May 10th, 24 days, more than 3 weeks. There's been a lot of questions about her surgery, her time at Walter Reed, and now her invisibility. How long does she have to be out of sight to make this a legitimate media story?
First ladies get media coverage. I don't care what your political ideology is, when a first lady disappears from the public scene 24 days after being in a hospital, of course reporters are going to raise questions.
As of the time we're taping this show right now, the First Lady has not been seen in public for 25 days. Well, I'm not surprised. It took that Shawshank guy years to tunnel out.
This is so despicable, even beneath the dignity of them. So-called comedians, so-called journalists. Well, there were actually 4 of them last week that saw Melania Trump but said nothing. I have multiple sources confirming that tonight. And by the way, she did have an operation. Maybe wishing her well would be the appropriate response. The First Lady did respond on Twitter, writing, I see the media is working overtime, speculating where I am, what I'm doing. Rest assured, I'm here at the White House with my family, feeling great and working hard on behalf of children and the American people. Would that shut them up? Probably not. That's how sick they are. And another anti-Trump non-story, the mainstream media pushing, literally this time, surrounding the Philadelphia Eagles being disinvited to the White House following the big Super Bowl victory. Earlier today, the press secretary, Sarah Sanders, responded. Good for her. Take a look at this.
There were 80 members of the Eagles organization that RSVP'd and committed to attend this event as recently as Friday, as well as over 1,000 fans of the Eagles organization. And the Eagles are the ones that tried to change their commitment at the 11th hour. And the president, frankly, thinks that the fans deserve better than that. If this wasn't a political stunt by the Eagles franchise, then they wouldn't have planned to attend the event and then backed out at the last minute. And if it wasn't a political stunt, then they wouldn't have attempted to reschedule the visit when they knew that the president was going to be overseas. And if this wasn't a political stunt, they wouldn't have waited until Monday, well after 1,000 of their fans had traveled and taken time out of their schedules to offer only a tiny handful of representatives to attend the event.
Yeah, great treatment of Eagles fans. In this particular case, the president was right to cancel this event. And by the way, look at the NFL today. Look at this rule, the new rule requiring players, that's to actually stand for the anthem, or else they can go hide in the locker room. Look at the owner of the New York Jets offering to pay the fines of any player on his team who protests the anthem. You know what? I've had it. This is ridiculous. I'm supposed to tune into a football game and watch a bunch of people that make a lot of money making a statement. Not the Eagles in this particular case, but they made a political statement as it relates to the White House. Really? Now they're going to hide in the locker room while the flag is waving and we're honoring men and women that fought, bled, and died for their country, fighting under that flag? Look at what Roger Goodell and other NFL owners have done to this league. It's disgusting. Let me be clear. I'm done with my Jets. In fact, I'm done with the NFL. My football day is Saturday. I like college football. And until and unless members of the National Football League gain the respect for the flag in this country and those that have sacrificed, bled, and died fighting under that flag, I'm finished. Instead of celebrating a football team today, the president rightly hosted a celebration for America featuring, the Marine Corps band and the Army chorus. And today, Americans do have so much to celebrate, including a booming economy. Wow, so different than just 501 days ago. Take a look.
Our country has never done better than it's doing right now. Never. Record numbers at every outpost. You take a look at what's going on. Lowest unemployment numbers we've had. Lowest African-American unemployment in the history of our country. Lowest Hispanic numbers in the history of our country. Lowest numbers for women in 21 years. We've created $7 trillion of value in our country since the election. We're the largest economy in the world and getting a lot larger and fast. It's happened very quickly. Actually, quicker than I even thought.
Only 501 days. By the way, what the president is announcing, good news for America, bad news for the Democratic Party and your corrupt media. Why? Because they want the president to fail. Obviously, they want to destroy Trump at any cost. Him being successful is not good towards that goal. And their little egos can remain intact. And by the way, their friends in the Democratic Party, they're so hoping can regain power. That's why this midterm election will be the most important in our lifetime. But that's not going to stop the president's economic policies from vastly improving this country. Remember the forgotten men and women? We've reported about the historically low unemployment rates, and now the Atlanta Fed is making a prediction the economy is going to grow second quarter at a rate of 4.8%. All right, let's compare this to the 8 years of Obama. Remember they told us that, 1% growth was the new normal for the United States. We should just all accept it. In other words, a crappy economy. You might remember 13 million more Americans on food stamps under Obama 8 years, 8 million more in poverty, the lowest labor participation rate since the 70s, the worst recovery since the 40s, the lowest home ownership rate in 51 years, and the doubling of our national debt, which President Obama then said was irresponsible and unpatriotic. Thank God the era of failure in Obama is over, and his destructive regulations, his high taxes have come to an end. And America's economy is now, after 501 days of Trump, booming. Look at your screen. Candidate Trump promised big wins for the United States, high economic growth, lower taxes, fewer regulations, and jobs, jobs, jobs. By the way, are you tired of winning tonight? Joining us now, former Congressman, Fox News contributor Jason Chaffetz, the author of the brand new book, The Briefing, Politics, the Press, and the President, former White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer. Let me go back to the beginning of this monologue, Congressman Chaffetz. All right, 2 weeks now, this IG report, let me fix my flag, there we go. 2 weeks now, this IG report has been in the hands of people like Rod Rosenstein and the DOJ. And my point is, they have an opportunity to look through this, offer changes, put in their own comments, ask for redactions in the name of national security. The same people that have obstructed Congress and have not turned over subpoenaed documents now since you were in Congress, which is like 100 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Look, the deep state is in overdrive. They're doing everything they can to slow this down. By all accounts, this report is hundreds of pages, one of the largest that the Inspector General has ever produced. And they're going to start arguing page by page, line by line, that, you can't let this out because it's classified. And I guarantee you, having sat in the seat as the oversight chairman, that is exactly what's going on right now. They're having the argument about what should be classified, what should be revealed to the public.
So are they going to force the Inspector General and 500 workers that he have, are they going to force the Inspector General to pull back 18 months worth of work? Are they going to force redactions and using the guise of national security only to be proven wrong later? Are they going to do a Friday dump this Friday, heading into a holiday weekend, not a holiday week, a summer weekend, and then heading into the President's Summit with Kim Jong-un to bury the story for the deep state? Because if Michael Horowitz does that, that in itself is a scandal and would need to be investigated.
Well, look, I want the report out. I don't want it delayed whatsoever, whether there's another world event or not. I don't think you can bury something is this big and this dramatic. And when you have the hearings in the Senate, you have it in the House.
Friday dump would be an effort at absolutely.
It wouldn't be my first choice, but I don't control it. Yeah, I just want it out. I want it to be as complete of the truth as it can. And I believe in this Inspector General and his team. And I think they're fighting the good fight behind the scenes right now.
I'm a trust but verify guy. I have no faith until I see it. You know a thing or two, Sean Spicer, about the summer Friday dump. If Michael Horowitz tries to pull that heading into a summer Friday weekend and the president's summit with Kim Jong-un, to me that in itself is a scandal.
Oh, I agree with that. I mean, this report, supposedly in November, Horowitz told Congress they would expect the report to be done in late winter, early spring. Now we're well past that deadline. People, as Jason pointed out, are having an opportunity who are named in the report to look at it, make redactions or suggestions. But we're well past the point in which that should have been done. I think Horowitz has a really solid reputation coming into this. People put a lot of trust into him. I would expect him to do this the right way. But I think as it continues to be delayed, there's a lot of questions that are getting asked about why and what kind of redactions and other things are being asked to be kept out or put under wraps. So we've got to demand that this thing come out. And when it does come out, make sure that the attention that is deserved is given to it.
Do you suspect, as I do, and as Congressman Chaffetz does, that they are now trying to undo 18 months of the Inspector General's work? Do you agree, as I do, that if this comes out Thursday or Friday this week, this is nothing but a dump and an attempt to bury it?
Absolutely. I mean, look, they're looking into themselves.
I mean, I understand.
This is a big problem. I mean, there's no way that they are going to allow all of this work come back and talk about how they looked into Hillary Clinton's server. They're going to try to make sure that
Why do you have faith, Jason Chaffetz? Why do you have faith in Michael Horowitz?
Because he helped us with Fast and Furious, Trey Gowdy, myself, others have worked with him for years, and I do believe in him. It's our best shot. It's our best shot at the truth.
Oh, really? Hillary committed felonies.
Well,
Hillary obstructed justice. They fixed the investigation. They wrote an exoneration before the investigation, Sean, last
Just to be clear, I think that there are other elements within the DOJ and the FBI that are trying to slow this down. Horowitz may be trying to get this done, and I think Jason's maybe right, but I think there are plenty of elements trying to slow this train down.
Thank you both. We'll see. Inspector General Horowitz, we'll learn a lot about you in the coming weeks. We were supposed to get this in March. Don't dump it the Friday before Kim Jong-un and the president meet. When we come back, Sarah Carter has a full report, breaking news on this very issue in the Justice Department Inspector General's report. Greg Jarrett looks at the legal side of this, and Newt Gingrich, all coming up tonight. And we are watching and waiting election results tonight. Right, as we mentioned in tonight's opening monologue, Sarah Carter is out with a brand new report. It's entitled "Lawmakers Warn the Inspector General is Being Pressured to Slow Roll and Bury the Clinton FBI Report," and concern mounts as DOJ, FBI seek redactions to weaken the report. Sarah joins us now. Also joining us, see that book right there? Get ready. Get your copy online, Amazon, Barnes & Noble. It is called "The Russian Hoax, the Illicit Scheme to Clear Hillary Clinton, Frame Donald Trump," the crux of what should be in the IG report. Greg Jarrett is with us. Sarah, let's start with your report. Here's my fear, and I think they've now had it for 2 weeks. Rod Rosenstein and company, they don't want this out. They want they want to pressure him to pull back on his conclusions. They want redactions. They want to add their comments, and they want to slow walk it and then have the IG bury it by releasing it Thursday or Friday this week, leading into the North Korean summit.
Yeah, Sean, you're not the only one concerned. There are a number of lawmakers as well as congressional officials who've been working on these investigations that are just as concerned as you. One of the big problems here, and what the DOJ and the FBI keep trying to say to the American public, is that there's classification concerns, there's national security concerns. No, national security concerns are only meant to protect sources and methods. That's it. That's it. They are not supposed to cover up malfeasance or wrongdoing inside the Bureau or inside the DOJ. And if they're embarrassed about something in that report, well, they should just expose it now. It's eventually going to come out because we know there was malfeasance within those departments.
There are 30 FBI agents dying to be subpoenaed. to corroborate all the wrongdoing. Let me turn to Greg Jarrett, and Sarah, you know this as well. There is only one conclusion. The evidence is in, it's incontrovertible. Hillary violated the Espionage Act. She obstructed justice with deletions and acid washing and, of course, breaking devices. They rigged the investigation into her. That's it. We know the answer. Now it's a matter of whether or not the Inspector General has the courage to tell the American people the truth, or is it going to take Congress following up on this?
McCabe is in legal jeopardy. We know that. And remember when the criminal referral was made against him, we said here.
No, you said here he's going to sing like a bird. I remember.
Sing like a canary with immunity. And sure enough, it appears that is now underway. So that puts James Comey in the hot seat for a wide variety of things. We know he usurped the power of the Attorney General. Congress believes that on 4 occasions, he gave them false and misleading statements. Those would be 4 separate crimes. If he cleared Hillary Clinton for political reasons and ignored powerful incriminating evidence, that could be obstruction of justice. And finally, when he stole government documents and leaked them to the media, that's also a crime.
Let me put up your book cover again. This book is coming out next month in July. And because it's the Russian hoax. It is the illicit scheme to clear Hillary and literally, frame Donald Trump. And here's the important part of this book. Everything that you have researched, whether or not Michael Horowitz gets it right, you have gotten it right. I have had the pleasure of watching you write it. You've shared the book with me, portions of it. And you have the documents, and we have FBI agents that are going to end up being the heroes in this story by telling the truth about the leadership. This was never rank and file. This was always the upper echelon. You have the proof.
And I interviewed former top officials at the FBI who in unison condemned James Comey for what they regard as his breaking the law and ruining the reputation and integrity of the FBI. I interviewed former federal prosecutors. They all agreed as well.
So you basically did the job that the Inspector General took 18 months and 500 people to do, and you have all the documentation behind it and interviews to support it, and it's all going to be in the book. So Michael Horowitz can run, but he can't hide. He can try and dump a Friday summer dump to bury this story, but it's not going to work, is it?
The deep concern, and Sarah has pointed this out in her column today, is that there are people at the FBI and DOJ who get right of first review and may try to sanitize this.
And this is why the Inspector General shouldn't be doing the FISA investigation, because he doesn't have the ability to get a grand jury together, Sarah, and this is what you've been pointing. And FISA abuse never would have happened because Rod Rosenstein, the guy that's trying to avoid the Inspector General report coming out now, is the same one that begged Paul Ryan, don't release the information, which became the Nunes memo.
Exactly. But this is why Paul Ryan and other Republican leaders need to demand that the information is released and that it gets to the House Intelligence Committee, that it gets to the Senate Judiciary Committee. It's important for everybody to be on board with this. This is highly political.
When do you predict
it
comes out then? Is it going to come out tomorrow, or are they going to try and bury it Thursday or Friday heading into the summit?
Well, I think they've cornered Michael Horowitz in a way because they're responding, and just as Greg said, they're responding to the claims made against them by the Inspector General.
I stand by my report, I'm done listening to you trying to spin out of this?
I think he absolutely will do that. I don't think that he's going to cower or be backed into a corner. I think he's going to release his report just like he did with McCabe and make that criminal referral.
And when do you suspect it comes out? After the summit?
That's exactly what I'm hearing, that it'll come out after the summit. But, there's always a chance, Sean, we can't predict these things, that he will dump it this week. Yeah, we're
supposed to get it March, April, May, and now it's June, and we'll get it, the day of the summit. Is that what's going to happen?
Probably.
I hope not.
I think that's in the works, yeah. The FBI and the Department of Justice.
So that makes Michael Horowitz as corrupt as all the people.
Well, but the DOJ has power over him. He is an employee of the DOJ.
And they're going to make him do this?
They have been obstructing justice at the DOJ and FBI.
We're losing. This happens, we're just losing the country.
Yeah.
Yeah, great news. We bring you all the happy news here. When we come back, former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich, he's going to weigh in on the election results tonight and so much more on Donald Trump's success. Straight ahead.
If you have a garden, you know weeds are low-down little scoundrels.
Speculating on the health of Melania Trump, CNN is doing this, and a lot of the drive-bys are. You know what's amazing about it? They've announced that she had kidney surgery, a benign mass was removed, and they've said all is well. And Melania Trump was spotted in the White House yesterday at a Gold Star Families event, and she looked perfectly fine, walking in, looked perfectly normal. Now, the drive-bys around speculating, David Frum, hypothetically theorizing, well, wait a minute, you guys, what if Trump beat her up? And that's on federal property. Does he have the right? Can he get away with beating up his own wife simply because he runs the executive branch? These guys are trying to have this intellectual argument over whether or not Trump can be subpoenaed, whether he can be pardoned, to pardon himself, or what have you.
That was Rush Limbaugh earlier today. It is so sick out there, pointing out how corrupt your media is. Here with reaction. A brand new book just out today. I have read it. It's amazing. It's available on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, Hannity.com, bookstores everywhere. Trump's America, the truth about our nation's great comeback. Former Speaker of the House, Fox News contributor Newt Gingrich is live from a bookstore in New Jersey called Bookends. Okay, that's a pretty good backdrop for you releasing a new book. Understanding Trump was a runaway best hit. It's 501 days in, and you go through what is a massive America comeback. The media never reports it. Why?
Well, because I think, as you pointed out earlier in the show, there is a psychosis of hostility coming from election night and getting worse. And then Trump, frankly, I think intensifies it because he tweets every morning, and they wake up every morning and they go, oh, my God, he's still president. And you end up with the kind of sickening stuff you just had cited from David Frum. All you have to do to understand how sick this is and the nasty things said about Melania is put in the word Michelle Obama. And imagine had anybody in that 8-year period said the vile things and made the suggestions that have been made recently. And it tells you the pathology that is sweeping through the American news media and the American entertainment culture.
This is our first lady.
Melania deserves better than that.
Oh, yeah. These people are disgusting. These people now have lost their minds. You said it happened at 10 o'clock, and I'm stealing your line, a mass psychosis that continues to today.
I listened earlier, and I listened to you earlier, and I thought, I think that was my line originally.
No, I totally stole it, but I've given you credit enough that people know that's true. Here's, I think, an important point, though. Look, you go through chapter by chapter by chapter, really how profound and historic this presidency is and how much success we've had. But then you have part 2 of your book. And part 2 is the dangers that the president faces, starting with the fake news media. Just give us a taste of that.
Well, I think the president faces, first of all, let me just say, the success of this administration is so enormous. Just one thing that came out today, they announced today there are more job openings in the United States than there are people looking for work. Now, that is such an enormous change from the Obama years, and for that matter, the George W. Bush years, that it's really almost revolutionary how much he's accomplished in 500 days. And that's an example of the achievements. The challenges, though, are still there. And I think it's going to be interesting to see if the president can focus in, because, the presidency is so big and so all-consuming that you can lose your focus on occasion. He's done a great job with deregulation. He's done a great job with conservative judges. The tax cuts are working exactly as we thought they would and making America much more competitive. Now he's confronting the deep state in ways that are very profound.
Are we going to win?
The entire Mueller investigation. Probably we're going to win, partially because Trump is a remarkable leader. But we should not underestimate whether it's the bureaucracy, for example, and the interest groups in the space program who would like to avoid the kind of changes that Trump and Pence want, or it's the bureaucracy in the Pentagon who would like to spend all the money on the old things that make them happy, or it is the Justice Department bureaucracy, which, as you pointed out in the last segment, is desperately trying to avoid the truth. Yeah. And I think that we have to recognize that The system is much more deeply corrupt than any of us could imagine, that as it's gradually coming out in the open, we realize that elements of the Justice Department, at the larger level, elements of the FBI, were corrupted on a scale that is really a threat to the whole American system.
Where is the civil libertarians? Where are the left? Where's the media in the biggest abuse of power corruption scandal in our lifetime? You know, I look at what's going on here, and we know what the conclusion should be with the Inspector General's report. We're supposed to get it in March, then April, then May. Now they're going to release it on a summer Friday heading into the summit between Kim Jong-un and President Trump as a means of burying it. You know, 2 weeks, Rod Rosenstein and company have had opportunities to try and get the Inspector General to soften the blow, make changes, claim that we need redactions in the name of national security. The whole system is corrupt.
Well, yeah, but the one thing I think where I don't exactly share your worry, this report is going to be so big and going to be so devastating. It's impossible.
Why do you have faith in that? Because we know Hillary committed crimes, felonies, obstructed justice, and the investigation was rigged. We've known that for a while.
Right. And if you watch, the number 2 man in the FBI is now under criminal referral. The number 1 man in the FBI is clearly going to be under criminal referral. All of these things are gradually coming out. And the American system is grinding away despite itself, despite the fact that we have an unbelievably weak attorney general. We have a deputy attorney general who is the deep state and who I think is totally unreliable. And you have basically a witch hunt led by Robert Mueller, which has brought in anti-Trump activist lawyers, some of whom have terrible records of prosecutorial abuse. All of those things are out there. But I'm just, maybe because I'm a naive optimist, I really do believe the American system works over time. I think had Hillary won, the level of corruption would have been unbelievable.
Otherwise, we're Venezuela. There's not any middle ground here in this. I want to just say that your book, Trump's America, it is the definitive book that explains the president's incredible success in 500 days and real challenges that the president faces from the deep state and the media and elsewhere. Mr. Speaker, congrats on the book. Amazon.com, Hannity.com, BarnesandNoble.com, and bookstores everywhere. It's a great book. You'll love it. When we come back, Kellyanne Conway will explain what actually happened between President Trump, the Eagles, and we'll talk about Melania Trump and the abuse that she's taking from our corrupt media. Straight ahead. All right, joining us now, a lot of news today is counsel to the president. Our friend Kellyanne Conway is with us. I want to get to the Eagles, but I cannot take what has been done and said again and the attacks the first lady's withstanding. You have gone through it. Ivanka's gone through it. Where is all this liberal respect for women? Because it seems non-existent. And the first lady keeps putting out statements. I'm here. I'm recovering. I just had surgery. And yes, I was seen in public yesterday.
I saw some folks today talking about the fact that we need to revisit the Equal Rights Amendment and get that ratified from its failed attempt 40 years ago, Sean, to prove that women have equal rights and we are respected. How about just starting to respect each other, regardless of ideology and politics and position? I've traveled with the First Lady and watched her hold those babies who were born addicted. Their first breaths in this world were a struggle because they're one of 100 babies born every day, and she's committed to breaking the back of the neonatal abstinence syndrome.
The way they have treated her is so over the top, awful. Words can't even describe it.
But I don't even like dignifying it by discussing it, to be frank with you, because she's so much stronger than that. She's so much.
She is.
She's so much more than her critics and the naysayers. Well, who cares? She's there with Gold Star families.
She's a great person.
Sean, look at the difference. Look at the company that the First Lady keeps. She's there honoring Gold Star families, and people are peddling conspiracy theories that, frankly, shouldn't be dignified.
Let me ask you
on major
this,
platforms.
So in the NFL, you can't is you can't spike the football, you can't taunt other players, you can't do certain dances and gestures. They have all sorts of, quote, restrictions on freedom of speech. But yet, Roger Goodell, in his infinite wisdom, you know, they allowed everything that happened last year. People fought, bled, and died fighting under that flag. I'm not against protesting, but the NFL does stifle, quote, freedom of speech in some ways. Here's my point. I'm kind of done with the NFL. Now they're going to let players hide in the locker room, which I think is almost worse than what they were doing before when our anthem is played. I'm done. I'm ready to go to college football. Saturday's my football day. Tell us what happened.
Eagles fans that had RSVP'd to the White House,
Yeah.
many of whom we were told were already in town expecting to come to the White House. So he decided to respect their effort in coming and their excitement and still welcome them to the White House, but to convert it into a Celebrate America event. It was a fabulous event tonight with the Marine Corps Band, the Army Chorus, patriotic songs. But look, there are lots of Eagles players who voted for
Kellyanne, we got to roll.